Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. It is me, KB. The old man is working through technical issues sort of like every week, so we'll get him when he can get it sorted out. We're here post-game. Florida State loses 34-31 to Pitt at home. Another terrible loss for Mike Norvell and the staff. And I'm just going to be frank. Mike Norvell is not the future head coach of this football team. I think this is the final nail in that coffin. I think Norvell is a great man. I don't know him, obviously, but he comes off as a good man, has had some good actions. But that doesn't translate into wins and losses. And this is another indictment on his record at Florida State. And he is not the right fit for this job. Florida State is this is not the standard of Florida State. The last 2 years are not the standard for Florida State. Over the past 5-6 years, the consistency of excellence has not been the standard. Having 2 good seasons out of 6 is not good enough. And this is just another indictment on that record of not living up to the standard of Florida State and the program standards. And I think this is going to do it for him. That's not to say that I believe he'll be fired today or fired next week. I just believe that this will go down as the moment where maybe internally the admin, they decide that, hey, we need to start looking what else is out there. What's the buyout look like? Stuff like that. It's going to be a tough conversation to have. It's a lot of money. But I if you're a true Florida State fan and you want this program to be a national title contender, playoff contender, I think you have to be in a similar mindset. This is not what we should be expecting the outcomes of games to be against teams like Pitt, against teams like Miami. We should be competitive. We should be winning these games, especially this deep into the tenure of a head coach. This maybe is year 1 results. This isn't year 6 results. The same repeated errors we're seeing, fumbles, penalties, defense giving up 34 points to a true freshman quarterback, third string. It's coming down to coaching, execution, and game planning at this point. And these are all indictments against Norvell and the people he's hired. And these are his direct choices, and that's a reflection once again on him. And to lose this game is totally unacceptable. No fans, whether you're a booster or not, donator or not, you should not accept this. You should not be happy with this, obviously. But you have to say, is Mike Norvell the guy for this team and moving forward? And I don't think he is. Just the same things that have plagued this team since the Alabama game, since we won that game, rear their heads again. Penalties, timely turnovers, fumbles, drive killing penalties at that, holding, dumb penalties that put you back 10 yards, 15 yards, and then just the defense getting gouged again and again. And you'll say, oh, well, look, we got 2 interceptions, or we got 3 sacks. Those are empty. Those are empty calories when you're giving up 40, you're giving up 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 18 and for 40 yards. You're giving up explosive play after explosive play, and you're giving up ultimately 34 points. Those sacks don't matter when the next play you're giving up 40 yards in the middle of the field. How many times does this zone get picked apart by a wide open guy in the middle of the field because guys can't do their job? Guys aren't executing on the game plan. it is the same story as last week and the week before. And it's truly just, it's like living in a repeated nightmare because you know what's going to happen and it keeps happening, but you keep watching. You keep watching. It's insanity for us to keep watching and expecting a different result at this point. Because, folks, I hate to break it to you, this will be the same result moving forward. It's not going to change. There's not new players coming in. There's not new coaches coming in this season. This is going to happen and continue to happen because it's the game tape at this point. This has been documented, and every team can see this is where the Florida State defense is vulnerable. In the zone, they can't contain the quarterback. They can't get the quarterback. They can't get pass rush with 4, and you can pick them apart. And if you can scramble, you'll be able to scramble to your heart's delight most of the time, right? Because no spy, no one can get you down. And Heischel destroyed you with his legs for 64 yards today, and he was able to make some really, really good plays as a true freshman third stringer. On the offensive side, 31 points in most games should be able to win you games. But I don't think the offense was anything special either today. In the second half, you only had about, outside that one big pass play to Danzy, which Danzy, like I said in the preview show, he has to be involved. He is the X factor of this team, especially if Deuce Robinson is out and most of your receivers are out. Danzy is a star. He is a star. And he is going to be, if this program goes 6 wins this season or something, he is going to get some offers in the NI portal to leave Florida State, regardless of track. There's a lot of good track programs out there. That guy is going to be the number 1 target to try to be poached from this program because that kid is a star. And you need to get him involved. And I don't think he was involved enough deep. They should have tested deep a lot more, a lot sooner, not at the end of the game. But this offense stalled in the second half. So when your defense really needed you to make plays and put points on the board, you only scored 10 points versus the 21 in the first half. On that one drive, you ran the ball 14 times, 12 times. It was great. You're moving the ball, and then the fumble happens because I fumbles the ball away. These are the things that well-coached, well-trained teams don't do in crunch time, right? It's once again another indictment to the staff, another indictment to this team, and it's depressing to watch because I expected more from this team, and they're not living up to the program standard, and it rolls up to the top. Norvell is the CEO of this team. He is the head coach of this team, and all those deficiencies in play and execution all roll up to him. What do you got, old man?
Well, I was hoping for a great victory, and then I could say, or a predictable victory, which I called for, and then I was going to chip in that my softball game today, which we won, I was 4 for 4, but it doesn't seem appropriate to even freaking talk about that now. I had a pretty good day on the field, but the Noles did not have a good day. This is a very that was a winnable game for Florida State at home against everything you've already talked about, against a freshman quarterback who basically just took over the slot after beating BC, and he had a good enough day to beat an average football team, even on their own field. And that's what he did. He managed the game despite 2 turnovers, which Florida State needed. Okay. We were down. We were -3 in the turnover category. Then we went -4, and then we got 2 back. So we're like -2 on the season. And when you have -2 turnovers at this point of a season for any football team, it starts to tell you a little bit about what the record's probably going to be. We're now 0-3 in the ACC, and Norvell's record of ACC wins and losses continues to build on the loss side. I do believe, and I said this in our pregame show, that this was an important football game for this program, for this team, and for this coaching staff. And they didn't get it done. They did not get it done. And now I saw fans starting to leave early, a little bit early there, or midway through the fourth quarter. Not too many, but a lot of people hung in there. They get to see the Danzy play at the touchdown at the end, and a chance to get the ball, which is low odds on the onside kick. But I mean, inside, I'm a little just mellowed out. I mean, it's just a performance again. And now they've got bigger worries. They got bigger worries. And Mike Norvell is going to say the same thing. And maybe it's true that they played hard. They played, right up to the end. They kept coming back. We want to take away some positives, but their play is not good enough. So the question is, as you said, is it coaching and development, during the weeks going into a game, or is it these players maxed out their ceiling, okay, as players, right? That happens to ball players in any sport. You can max out. So are these players maxed out?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can max out,
well,
but you can still win. You can still win. You think Pitt is maxing out? Pitt doesn't have a bunch of 5-star guys, but yet they're still winning games and they're putting up points and they have an effective defense. So I don't care if we're maxed out. We can still win games.
Okay.
It's not about maxing out. You can still win with the players you have on this roster.
Okay. But there are some undisciplinary plays as well, some penalties that were unnecessary. Who was it? I got a bunch of notes. I'm not going to look at them now. But, somebody slapped somebody on the side of the helmet. It wasn't even worth slapping the guy. He got 15 yards for that. The end of the game, Daryl Jackson Jr. jumps off sides. It was third and 5, third and 8, third and 3. And we needed that play. If we stop them there, we have an opportunity. But Daryl Jackson jumps off sides, and he's our number one defensive lineman, supposedly. That may come into question. But it's undisciplined team. We ran the ball, and I thought the stable of backs were doing a good job with that. And then Keziah Holmes, who was having a pretty good day, coughs it up. All right. And that turnover hurt. What is there to say except I think now it's done. That Norvell is not the future head coach of this football team. He is not the future head coach of this football team. And I think the administration knows that. The boosters know that. And they're going to figure out, do we cut? What is the best procedure going forward? Is it to cut him loose early? Is it, not early, you're in the middle of the season, or do you wait to the end of the season? There's a lot of calculations there.
You're going to have to find $58.7 million too.
Well, then, that's what I say. Or do you eat that and bring him back another year and shave off another, $10 mil? Or get into a negotiated settlement with the guy and hope he says, you're right. I'm not doing a great job. I'll take less. Shit, that's what they're doing with Bill Belichick. That's kind of where we are, though. Where do you think we are on this? Because I don't want to dive into a bunch of numbers. I do. I want to get into this later. I don't
want to spend an hour talking about this game, honestly.
Well, there's things to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some things to talk about. Let me say this, and then I'll throw you back into this.
Wasted enough time on Florida State today, but yeah.
Well, never mind. I'm not gonna talk to you on that matter. This is what we do. Danzy, I agree with you on Danzy. Danzy's got good hands. He's got good hands. He is now could be the number one receiver on this football team if Deuce Robinson, depending on what his injury is. Danzy does have this tendency to get open and catch the ball instead of all these trick plays that Gus throws out and the reverses. They're all picking up on that now. Okay, they blew him up on that one reverse. But his catching ability is really good. And like you say, he is putting a lot out there on tape to either, one, be retained, or two, he's going to take his chances in the portal, right? And as you said, there's a lot of big track teams around here, and you don't think they'd throw that in there? Yeah, obviously they would. Okay, so that's a big deal there. We had a partial punt block. Guy comes right through and splits our three backers next to the punter. Comes right through, gets to the punt, cleanly gets to the punt. You know, there's a lot of things going on in this environment that are not good. And it's disheartening. And they've got some big football games left to play, and a lot of them, and most of them are on the road.
Yeah, and it's disheartening because once again, the game came down to the same routine mistakes, but also there was many chances to put this game away and win it. How many times was Pitt in 3rd and long, and you gave up a big first down and allowed them to continue the drive? If you stop those big 3rd downs, they have to punt. Your offense gets another chance to score, especially in the first half. If the drive I was referencing, I think it was the 3rd quarter, 9 straight runs, you're moving the ball, getting good chunk runs, the offense is humming, penalty, turnover, and then 3 and out the next drive. It totally took you out of the rhythm. You never got it going again until the last heave in the 4th quarter to Danzy. But these are the things, these little moments are what we've seen in kind of all the losses. Is these moments where you've had chances to get ahead. Even in the coming off in the second half, when you got the ball, you start at your 45-yard line and couldn't move. You got 1 yard in 3 plays. Like, these are the moments that you're going to look back and analyze and say, why can we not capitalize on those moments? Those are the moments where good teams, that's where they take advantage of it, right? And that's where I say you put up a lot of points, but when you really needed to put your foot to the pedal and execute, you couldn't do it offensively. You couldn't do it on the 45-yard line coming out of halftime to jump, up additional points.
Well, in the second half, if you don't get that last second touchdown to Danzy, which was a long pass to Danzy, if you don't get that, you got beat 20-3 in the second half.
Yeah.
They scored 20 points, unless my math is wrong. Yeah. They scored 20 points in the second half and would have beaten you 20-3 in that half if you don't get that late second touchdown.
And that doesn't take a defense off the hook. The defense this year, outside of the Alabama game, has not been able to stop any response.
Yeah, Tony White's stock was dipping, and now it is in a landslide down. Okay, he is not going to be the coach at UCLA. That's done. He probably would have never been the coach there, maybe. But his stock on this defense right now is in a they're back on their heels. The best things I saw on defense, I thought Rawls was playing some good ball for a while. I thought the Twins. I thought the Twins applied decent pressure. I thought they, had some good moments. James Williams, to me, didn't show up. They showed him on the one play where he came up, contained the end, right, and was able to nail the running back in the backfield, but he was unblocked. He was totally unblocked. He came up, held the corner, and tackled the guy. That was his biggest play, right? How many sacks did we have in the game?
I think we had three sacks.
We had three sacks.
3 or 4. But once again, it doesn't matter. It's immaterial. It's immaterial to when we see on Sunday how many explosive plays we gave up. We probably gave up 4 or 5, maybe 6 explosive plays, which was, once again, the issue against Miami, the issue against UVA. This defense consistently gives up explosive plays, usually on 3rd down, it feels like. And you gave up 476 yards, 6.6 yards per gain, 155 rushing yards. It just 321 to, once again, a true freshman, 3rd-string quarterback.
I thought he did a pretty good job.
He's going to be a very good quarterback for them. But
still, I think so.
True freshman on the road just eats up your defense. Outside of his 2 turnovers, which was I think, a result of pressure and good DB play, but you didn't get enough of that pressure. There was too many times he just sat in the pocket
And there were
was able
some
to deliver.
explosive plays. I don't know
I,
how many
I,
explosive
I
plays if you really looked into the
yeah.
details.
But he was just able to sit back too consistently and deliver
And he
the
used
football.
his legs when he wanted to.
And the linebacking core, once again, and it's been an issue during the Mike Norvell era. Linebackers are just
they're
not,
weak.
They're not good enough. They're not,
No,
and that hurts this system that you're in. If they can't make plays, if they can't follow they couldn't. I mean, Desmond Reed's a very, very good player, but they just exploited that matchup on the linebacker. They would get him out on the island, and the linebackers are not athletic enough to
Desmond Reed had a fantastic game, and he did a lot of damage to our defense, and he kept their offense going. Okay, he really, really did, catching the ball from the backfield, which when the NFL sees that, they're going to like that. All right, and running the ball. He's a tough little guy, and he did damage to us. They had an efficient quarterback play. Their offensive line, I thought, was played much better than I figured they might play. I thought they didn't have to throw too many long passes. They were more of the high efficiency passes, and I thought their defense held up pretty good. I thought they seemed to control the ball. The very first time they touched the ball in this game, and they had it was like an 8-minute plus drive, which resulted in a touchdown. 8 minutes.
Yep.
And that's a real statement. That wears your defense down from the first drive. Okay. And I'm not using that as an excuse, but that's what you want to do in a hostile environment, and it calms the crowd. So they got a touchdown there. The second time they touched the ball, it rolled into the second quarter. At the end of the first quarter, they had the ball one time. They started with it the second time. Florida State had it one time. There were 3 total possessions in the first quarter, and Florida State had 1 possession in the first quarter. When Pitt got it on their second possession into the second quarter, they scored another touchdown on a long drive. TD pass to Desmond Reed. I mean, that tells you have defensive issues.
Yeah.
You have defensive issues.
Defense is very, very bad. Very, very bad. And once again, you let Pittsburgh control the clock. You let them, like you said, have sustained drives. This offense was either 3 and out or score. But too many times they went 3 and out. They couldn't put together sustained drives that led to points in the second half. The second half was the big issue. And really for both sides. Both sides of the ball just really fell apart in the second half. It felt like they just couldn't get off the field. They couldn't sustain drives on offense, and those things go against each other. If you can't sustain a drive, it puts the defense back on the field quickly. They get wear down, but it just super, super disappointing. And once again, this is now a trend, and this is what you should expect to see for the rest of the year from this team. It's the defense is going to be a liability most of the year, and the offense is going to have to try to put together 35 plus points per game to make games competitive. If this offense puts up 14 or 21, you're going to 100% lose the game. It's really going to be on the offense. And if you lose Deuce Alvinson now, I don't know how long he may be out for. You were out 3 or 4 receivers today, which doesn't help, obviously. And you're on Micah Pettis, stuff like that. But you're going to have to play through injuries. It's not ideal, but you're going to have to find a way to score points, because
why do I feel that we should have enough talent in the wide receiver room, even with those injuries in the game today, that we should have been able to win this game? We've got, I think, some talent in the room, and I just don't understand. Finally, Landon Thomas got a ball. I mean, that was kind of a freakish good catch by Landon Thomas, kind of a luck play in my thing. He threw it up, and Landon used his body, and he did a great job. You and I have always said, where the hell is Landon Thomas? Well, he was there today. He caught a ball for a touchdown. I thought Danzy emerged as the number 1, or at least the number 2 receiver on this team for sure. I'm kind of wondering if Gus Malzahn's offense is so run focused that his passing game piece is so immature that it doesn't really challenge an opponent. What do you think? I mean, the way I see it, I've watched a lot of Florida State offenses over the years, and I've been doing this for a long time, and it doesn't look, it looks like it's so hard to get a guy open. I don't see much across the middle. I don't see the use of our tight ends. And I hear, yeah, the rush, Gus doesn't do that. Well, maybe Gus needs to adopt some new methodology. And then in the second half, that one drive, I heard the announcer say, well, they've run the ball like 11, 12 times in a row. And how many passes did Tommy throw in the second half? Like 10?
I don't know.
Not many. It wasn't very many. So, field goals, we made all of our field goals. We made all of our extra points, except for the partial block. The special team seemed to do okay, but that partial block didn't help. A couple of guys went down. Richie Leonard went down, but he returned. Rizzi was in there for Pettis just about the whole game. I saw Otto run on and off a little bit. It just didn't look smooth. They didn't look comfortable. I thought the backs, for a while were having a pretty. Cromar looked pretty good when he was in the game, running the ball. He's a tough guy. I liked what Keziah Holmes was doing until he coughed it up. Sawchuk, I thought he was running pretty good himself. Quarterback play was mixed. Some costly penalties at times. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Let me say this. The call line's going to be open. We're going to open up the call line. And if you want to call in and talk to us a little bit as we go along, we'll take your calls as soon as we can get you on the air. And if you got something to say, just be adult about it and bring your analysis. If you're not bringing your analysis, I will cut you off. I mean, that's how we run our program. Please hit that like, subscribe. If you're not, we love you be on the channel here. And we'll get your point of view on what you think happens to this team next, what you think should happen to Mike Norvell. Is he the future, or is it over for Mike? And we'll go from there. I think that's a fair way to present this. So let me get the phone line punched up here. And KB, your other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is that what leads to performances like this ultimately and results like this is recruiting. And I think this past year was probably Mike's best recruiting year, but we didn't have this consistently. You've seen this year freshmen, redshirt freshmen, or true freshmen making big plays. The last couple of seasons, he's recruited better, and you've seen those players make plays. I still think the Sear twins, once they're fully developed, will be great pieces if you can keep them. You've seen Danzy start making plays, but you've seen guys like Chroma, true freshman, his playmaking ability. Those players like that can impact you without going through the portal. Those young players that you hopefully can keep, invest in, and come in day one or year two, make plays for you and make the team better and improve the depth without having to go into the portal and have to, and hope you get a hit. The portal brings those risks. Is it a hit or miss because you haven't coached that player? You haven't worked through that player. You haven't seen them in the workout room. You haven't seen them in your system. That's why high school is still, in my opinion, better for development because you get to be hands-on with that player and see everything. We just haven't, under Mike Norvell, recruited as best as we could or identified the right players as consistently as we could until the last year or so. And we've seen some of that fruit. And I think it's too little too late, though. we don't have that depth on the line offensively or defensively. Imagine if we had 4 years of recruiting guys like the Desir twins who have developed, who can rotate, who can play ball at a high level and make an impact instead of having to consistently go to the portal. Imagine if we had offensive linemen where we're not having to rebuild the offensive line every year from the portal. Imagine if we had starters ready to go and now they're on their second or third year, having been recruited at high school at a high level, and they're now developed and playing instead of us having to piecemeal every single year. Same thing with the linebackers. All these things come into play, and I think that's led us to this point is the lack of quality recruiting and development. And it's been a little too late. I mean, there are those positive signs of players we see, obviously, like I just mentioned, but it's just too much, too little, too late. I think in terms of what they were able to obtain, and yeah, I think many people, and if you go on X, they're going to see a lot of people who are mad, upset, asking for it. And it's nothing personal. I think Mike Norvell's a good man and good person and a good leader, but that doesn't result in wins. And ultimately, I believe this program should have a standard. I think the fans should have a standard. And that standard should be competing for an ACC title every year. It should be winning 9 games plus every single season. And not consistent enough has this program done that under Mike Norvell.
Well, here's Norvell's already been to the table at the presser post game, and I'm looking at this on X now. Though thanks to X and War Chant put this out. Give them credit for their statement. FSU coach Mike Norvell says, quote, ultimately still too many mistakes. I mean, that's right out of the Coaching 101's, book. That he never says much. So, quote, we had plenty of opportunities, end quote, was expecting a much better performance based on the week of practice. These are almost the same things he says every loss. Ultimately, it all falls on my shoulders. We could go back and pull that. What was the game we lost last year where he said, ultimately, it's mine. I had to make changes. You know what I'm saying? It's the same memo. It's the same script. And I don't think that's going to sell any longer. This season now has degraded to a season of let's get the 6 to 7 wins. I still believe we can. I'll ask you in a minute if you think we can. Can we get the 6 or 7 wins and just go to the Pop-Tart Bowl or whatever the hell they call them now, right? Where your talented players who are, I don't see anybody here as a high NFL draft choice. I don't see any, obviously. You might have some who want to go as unsigned free agents, and that includes Darrell Jackson Jr. Whether he's getting double teamed or not, he's not a disruptor up there. And we'll see what his grades are. We'll get those grades later this weekend. But, how many guys who may be going into the portal, we've been talking about Danzy. Would Danzy play in the Pop-Tart Bowl? What do you think, KV?
I'm not thinking about Pop-Tart Bowl at this point. I'm thinking.
Well, I'm just asking you a question.
I'm not going to have an hour-long conversation about who's going to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Okay.
I think kids will continue to play because it's smart for them regardless. I mean,
the phone lines are open. The phone lines are open. We're standing by, and we'll leave them open for a few minutes. If somebody wants to come on and join us, give us a call. And if not, that's fine too. That's up to you.
So people are going to these kids aren't going to opt out, in my opinion, because they're paid to play. And so
if
they do,
they think they have potential, I think they'd opt out.
Well, most aren't going to opt out because their potential is selling insurance or working in corporate America after this. So they have no incentive to opt out because this is the best they're going to get. There's not Alabama or Georgia or Texas or Ohio State's not going to come knocking on their door. For
the only reason.
Let me finish my point. So that is why a lot of these kids aren't going to opt out, because the majority of them are not going to be getting offers from Ohio State next week if they opt out. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest here.
Well, you said
the other all-stars, the other guys, He could. And, that would suck. But once again, he's got to look at, what am I making? What
His
am I
future.
doing here? Yeah, but I don't want to go into hypothetical conversation yet. This is a post-game reaction, and I'm not going to go hypothetical. Is Danzy going to leave or stay? I'm not going to put that out there. My hope is we invest him in. If I was the NL director of Florida State, I would be talking to each of those kids and making sure that we know they're wanted here, they're invested here, and you're a future investment for us. The kids that we know are going to be building blocks of this program, regardless of who's the coach. I would be making sure that they know that we're going to invest in those kids, just like you would with an NFL team, like signing them, making sure they know that they're going to get the high priority dollars and stuff like that. Because by watching this program who the key bedrock players are, freshman and sophomore wise, and then the rest of the guys, they'll come and go. They can be replaced. But those are decisions that the admin will have to make. Alford and the crew. It'll be tough because this is just starting. The swirling of when will Mike Norvell go? Will he stay? Will he go? It's going to hurt this program, obviously, and obviously we're adding to that discussion. We're adding to that discussion, so I understand that. But if we're not having that discussion, we're not being realistic. So there's going to be a lot of, this team's in a rough spot right now, and that's deservingly. They've lost. They haven't won an ACC game, and they haven't lost. They've lost their last 8 ACC games
in 366 days. Now they haven't won an ACC
for
I understand.
So it's stupid. But any criticism they get is deserved. They've deserved everything they're hearing. Mike Norvell deserves everything he's hearing, outside of like derogatory BS. But in terms of his performance, he deserves everything he hears about his performance because he's earned that, and he should accept that. And so if people are calling for his job based on his record of work and his resume, it's deserved at this point. And I don't think fans should be calling out other fans for being negative or saying da-da-da. Look at Mike Norvell's full resume at Florida State and say,
that's horrible.
Would you give that guy a top 10 salary in the country?
No. Horrible.
You wouldn't. That would be a bad investment.
He got that based on his agent, Jimmy Sexton, a 13-0 season, the snub. It all fell into place. And Jimmy Sexton, when the Alabama job opened up, he leveraged it. That's what an agent does. If a sports agent isn't acting on your best behalf, including the sports agent, he's not doing his job. He leveraged that he put the whisper out there that he was going to get hired, that Mike Norvell was going to be hired by Alabama, that he was one of the leading candidates, and he leveraged the shit out of that, and he got money that's it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that they sign anybody for that. Sign them for less money, basic contract, with incentives. And if a guy says, well, I don't do it that way, then walk. You'll get somebody else. Mike Norvell, if you looked at his record, any fan looks at Mike Norvell's records coming in here to Florida State, it wasn't that elite. They brought him in based on potential, just like they did with some of these portal guys that they brought in, based on potential. And when you do that without proven record, sometimes it's a bust. That's how it works. Let's be realistic. And they've overpaid Mike Norvell, just like UNC has totally screwed up their program by bringing in Bill Belichick because he had 6 rings on his fingers. 6 rings, and he brought 2 kids with him, his 2 kids. And they bought into that shit, that Super Bowl stuff, which when Tom Brady left, that whole program changed in New England. He had to leave. They removed him. And he thought he was going to wash in here. All the potential people, all the college kids would come to UNC and because of Bill Belichick. Bullshit. All right? Okay, I got a call coming in. Let's see if we can take this call. Go ahead. You're on the air.
All right. Hey, this is Jalen back at it again.
Hey, Jalen, go ahead.
Yeah, so thanks for your point. I think it's time for Norvell to just leave. I think it's best for him to be fired.
Why?
Well, I can't. Well, unfortunately, you can't make another excuse for him. I mean, I feel like my opinion, the 2023 team, I feel like that team was kind of like the 2013 team. Was it really the coach or was it the players? If you ask me, I think for 2023 it was more the players, especially on defense.
Okay, what Jalen, what do you think is can he hold this team together, and what is the goal they're looking at now? They're 0-3 in the ACC. What is the goal he can preach to them to keep them together?
Well, for me, the goal is first of all, we need to tweak that defense, especially the pass defense. Because, like you said earlier, we do give up too many big plays, especially when you let a backup freshman quarterback just control the whole game and just throw big plays to his running back. That play action pass when he threw the ball on that 1 foot for the touchdown. It's just we just need to ride together. We need to find something. We need to ride together. We just need to find something. I do feel like we can finish this season strong. It's possible. But at the same time, being 0-3 in the conference just doesn't help.
Okay. Hey, Jalen, thanks so much for calling in. We appreciate you, buddy.
All right. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hey, go ahead, caller. Nope, we had another call. He dropped off. That's okay. Call back. The line is open.
Yeah.
I think Jalen made some good points, right?
Yeah, he makes some good points, and it's just, the decision has to be made, and it's really about, it's really going to be hard because I do think, and I don't want to go deep into it, but I think some of the great players on this team that are the young players with great potential, it's going to be hard to keep them. It's going to be, with the age of the portal, it's going to be hard to keep them, because some big time programs have seen guys like Chroma, and they've seen guys like Danzy, and they, and
even the twins who are young and
they're
developing.
Going to come they're seeing the house is burning at Florida State, and their feelers going to go out, and it's going to be tough, and it's going to be tough to watch, but it is what it is. When you don't take care of your own house, people are going to want to try to take advantage of it, and that's why I think the sooner we make a decision, the sooner things can get rolling. But the more this disturbance of will he, won't he, will he stay, won't he stay, that can cause more of an issue for 6 weeks than making a quick decision.
Okay, we got another call coming in. Let me take this call and get you on the line.
Call from
Toby from Daytona.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Hey guys, I appreciate you guys sticking with it.
I appreciate you calling in. Go ahead.
Well, with the Pulse game, but since last year and the inability to make a change well into 3, 4, 5, 6 losses, and practically have to be forced to make a change, was a sign for me that there's a culture issue. There's something that's not clicking, either in a locker room, off the field. Maybe it's too much. Maybe he's too much buddy with the players. He's too close to them on the field. He's too much involved. I don't know. But and the other thing about Coach Norvell is when he speaks, when he does his press conferences, he doesn't exactly have that kind of panache, that leadership. A good speaker, he says, he puts that in a lot, which is a sign of somebody that's not really comfortable in what they're seeing. And these are just things that I saw last year, and the inability to make changes. But something's been off. Something's been off here with the program for quite some time, and I've always blamed the lack of winning culture on Coach Norvell.
Yeah, I think you make some very good points, and especially about the press conferences. It's almost unlistenable to me because you get nothing out of it. He does hesitate a lot in his speech, which tells you he's not answering questions truthful. But there'll be fans who say, well, that's their job. They're not supposed to, give away any secrets and stuff like that. But he doesn't he doesn't appear confident what he's saying, and the pressers don't ask good questions. I've always harped on that. If you're subscribed to our program, you'll see that. I say they give these soft questions. But listen, thanks so much for calling in and being a listener.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. And the last couple of things I want to wrap up with, and I appreciate the call there, is I think Mike knew this was his last chance when he brought in Gus Malzahn to bring in this type of offense.
Well, he had to bring in Tony White too. He brought in a whole bunch of people.
I'm saying he knew he had to make some big. I mean, bringing in Gus Malzahn with this type of offense is not a non-traditional type of offense like this is a decision. And he brought back a guy he trusted and stuff like that, and Tony White, and bring in a different style of defense. But, so it was a lot of drastic changes. Both the offense and defense were very drastic changes. And it was a risk because switching up to a 3-3-5, new style of offense, it's a high risk, high reward thing.
It was a big shakeup.
And I think he knew he had to make that shakeup, obviously off a 2-10 season. It worked in week 1. It hasn't really worked since in the big games. And I honestly do believe that I think with the players we have, this offense probably would work maybe more, and I can't say offense isn't working. They're putting up points, they're putting up yards. It just stalls because that offense does stall if they clean up that trickeration. It can stall out really quickly. But 21 of the points today came off of long passes. You could say that, well, that was set up by the run and by the end around, play, the edge play. But a lot of these were just guys making catches. Dancy with 2 of the big catches, the one in the first half, one in the second quarter with his hands. And I think Tommy played a good game today for everything considered.
Probably good enough to win.
Yeah,
right?
I thought
good enough to win.
I thought long passes were on point. He made the risky play to Landon Thomas, but it was on the money, and Landon made a good play. But 21 of the points came on long passes. I mean, Tommy had 3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
But let's be honest too. A couple times Tommy threw it up. I don't think they were. I think there was a couple times. I thought they were a little lucky on that. But
his first pass
luck
to Dancy,
is part of the game. It's part of the game.
To Dancy, the first one was on the money, and the last one to Dancy was on the money. So he made plays because someone had to make plays. Nothing else was. It was stalling. And sometimes I do think a traditional offense or more of a spread offense would be interesting versus this Gus Malzahn, but once again, we can't rewrite history. Scored 31 points. Defense is just really non-existent in terms of containing the quarterback. They don't run a QB spy. Run a QB spy at some point.
They tried that, and Nicholson couldn't stay up.
He ran past the quarterback that one time.
Yeah.
It's just guys just can't execute when in position to do it, and that does come down to practice and player development. And everything. Once again,
and ability.
Culture.
Ability.
That's not ability. That's a high school play.
No, I disagree with you. I disagree with you on
plays,
that.
Man.
But some
running past the quarterback every single time is not ability. That's just training and execution. You don't have to be a 5-star athlete to do that. Nicholson has the ability to make those plays, and he's not making them.
Well, I'll be watching Tony White's pressers as well. I get more out of the other coaches than I do Norvell. Norvell is too schooled in word salad, and you don't get much out of that. And let me say this. There's been some comments. I haven't even looked much at X. I'm sure it's blown up that listen, we're being realistic here. As you said before, KB, it's okay for fans to question. You're not a negative fan. You're not, you're anti-loyal because you call out reality of what you see. And I'm talking about fans in general. A couple of people have put that in there. I saw a comment. They said, am I a bad fan for thinking now that Norvell needs to go? Right here. Jake put this out. Am I a bad fan for calling out Norvell, or is it time to be honest?
No,
I think, Jake, you're right on.
You're a good fan for expecting a higher standard.
Right.
We should expect a higher standard for Florida State, and not one where you haven't won an ACC game in your last 8 tries, or where you've lost to two straight ranked opponents, and now Pittsburgh at home. You are getting dominated at home, which should not be acceptable. That should not be acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, you looked like you were chasing Pittsburgh most of the game, like you said, at home, with a freshman quarterback only in his second start, all right, in a hostile environment, who basically really did a great job. I think if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm feeling like, hey, maybe we might have a bright future here. We might have a little bright future. It's early to tell. You don't know, but the kid looked pretty good. He looked pretty good.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I think there'll be some interesting reactions this week. I think we'll hear some of the same stuff we always hear, which is we're going to fight. Norvell's already said, I think this team will continue to fight. Okay, those are standard words. The question is, inside that locker room, what's going on? Who is going to keep this team together? And they said it has to be Tommy Castellanos. Now, Tommy is a different guy. He's kind of a different guy, the way he carries himself and everything else. The question is, can he lock down the locker room? Could he lock down the locker room and just say, we are going to continue, you know what I'm saying, and give the lecture of his life for motivation, right? Or is this just gonna go on like we're doing? Because we got bricks in the back stacking up that we can't hit with the sledgehammer, right?
Well, if you don't want to play, don't be on the field. And if you're not playing full on the field, that tape will be shown to other programs too. So if you're not with us, get out. That would be my speech. I don't think the offense is going to stop playing. I don't think the team is going to stop playing. But, I don't think it's all going to start crumbling and players are going to stop playing. It's just this is the team's mentality right now. This is their execution level right now. It's not that guys are quitting or stuff. They're not executing. They're not executing the game plan, and the game plan could be off too. I don't think the game plan is great too. I don't think defense is being called great. And it's just, I don't think guys are just going to start randomly quitting, but I don't know the future. I don't believe that.
Well, you know what? Okay, Tony White always said that sometimes his type of defense gives up explosive plays, but there looked like a lot of explosive plays today. The question is, in a 3, if you can't get home or be disrupted with 3, then you got to send another one. So you're basically in a 4, right? So you can call it a 3-3-5, call it whatever the hell you want, but if you're having to send 4, or then you can't get home with that, and you got to send a 5th, then you're looking at different things. You're looking at different problems. And these offensive now, the last few games, they've been looking at it, and they really seems to figure out how to attack it. And I thought their offensive line played much better than I thought it would. To be honest, didn't you?
Yeah, I like I said, I didn't think their offensive line was going to crumble. I think you expect our defensive line just to overly dominate, and I didn't think that.
I guess I do.
Our defensive line hasn't shown anything this year. It really
so it's
hasn't.
Average or below.
Outside
average.
of the Alabama game, they haven't shown anything. They haven't shown the ability to get there with 4 when they bring it. The only time they've shown the ability to really get there consistently is when they bring a blitzer from the secondary. But yeah, they can't contain the edges. They can't collapse the pocket when the guy wants to sit back there. The line with 4 just cannot generate any pressure when they stack it like that. And with 3, obviously, the guy just sits back there. They double team, Jackson in the middle, and the edges can't get there, or they run around the quarterback. Most of the time, they just get pushed around the quarterback, and then open up those running lanes for him. I mean, just review the tape that they just get pushed around, and the quarterback gets those perfect running lanes if he wants to scramble. I
tend to watch James Williams, and a couple times he's just trying to bull rush a guy
and he just gets pushed behind the
quarterback. He gets pushed around. He's wrestling this guy, and this guy is not. In fact, the offensive tackle that he's trying to go around loves it when he comes into his chest. He just wrestles him around. Yeah. He's almost like giving up on the speed rush now. And he wasn't getting home on a speed rush. He's not going to get home on a bull rush. He's not that big. And I think we had higher hopes for him. That has not matured. Amari Williams is still playing on both sides of the ball. He's on special teams. He did it. I think he had more snaps on defense today. Just interesting on what's going on here. But let me say this. There are no NFL caliber players on this football team, in my opinion, right now.
I don't agree with that. But
okay. That's just my opinion. I mean, do you have somebody in mind that
guys like Cromon Danzig can absolutely be NFL draft picks?
Cromar?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Chroma,
yeah,
and
he's a
Danzy
banger.
and Jabril Rawls probably can be one if he can.
You think Danzy's going to go to the NFL next year?
No.
I'm talking about next year. I'm
Oh,
talking about
yeah,
next year.
Next year, no.
The draft in April.
I mean, Jerry Wilson, I don't think had a great game today, but he could probably be a pick if he. We'll see how it plays out, but yeah, there's not many, and that does make a difference. But once again, I don't know how many Pittsburgh's going to get drafted next year, but it doesn't matter how many draft picks. It's college football. That's what it's about, and it's great to produce draft picks. But there's a lot of great teams that won't produce 15 draft picks that will win a lot of games. You didn't need 15 draft picks on this team to win today. That's not it. It comes down to motivation, execution, and game planning, and that is not happening consistently. And so that's it. I'm just talking in circles now, I feel like.
And that's okay.
That's it. But this is it, guys. It's not. There's no new players coming in. There's no new coaches coming in. This is going to be what it looks like every single week. And I do think will be some potential blowouts coming for us because this defense is not going to get better. They don't understand the defense. It looks like they can't execute the defense. It looks like they can't contain the quarterback when they need to. They can't step up when the moment presents itself and get the big stops routinely. They can't get off the field on third down. Sadly, this is going to be a long season for us.
Do you have the schedule in front of you? You could flip up the remaining schedule. Let's just take a little bit of a look at it as everybody's kind of venting and I get that. And we are too. Who's on the remaining?
Stanford, Wake Forest, Clemson, Tech.
Okay, Stanford. We're going to go fly out there. It's going to be disruptive as hell on people's time patterns. God, look at the ticket price. Great ticket price, $10. Stanford is... you know what? Every game is going to be challenging for us. I'm not going to say we're going to... I felt we could beat Pittsburgh. I don't know. We're going to play Stanford. That's a 7:30 game out there, 10:30 here. Wake Forest. Any of those are toss-ups at this point. They're toss-ups. They're toss-ups.
Clemson. Every one of them is...
Clemson, God, that if we lose to Clemson... the fans are going to explode. They're to lose to Dabo. That's at Clemson. That's not great. Virginia Tech, we should beat. I would hope we should beat Virginia Tech. North Carolina State's always a tough game at Carter Finley. That's not easy. And then who we got? Florida.
Yeah.
And then we play Florida, which is not going to be easy at the Swamp. So maybe it's going to be a little bit more of a struggle to get to 6 wins. And that, I don't think 6 wins. I don't think 6 wins guarantees Mike Norvell's job. I think Mike Norvell is gone. It's going to be when and how. He's not the future of the program. I'd like to see a victory over either Clemson or Florida on the way out here this season. But the fan reaction is not going to be good. The FSU media people who do this 24/7 are they're going to be all over him this week. They're going to be all over him, all over this team, and they rightfully have the right to do that. I mean, they have the right to question what the hell is going on. All right, and listen, I had a source, and I shared that with you, a guy who used to be in the FSU press room. And he said at one point, a couple of years ago, 2-3 seasons ago, under Norvell, the SID, Sports Information Director, who's always there to give, next question goes to this guy or that guy. He asked this guy not to ask certain type questions. This guy's still in the sports business. And he said, well, and the SID said, well, the coach, head coach there is Mike Norvell is really kind of sensitive guy. Well, he better get a hard shell. He better get a hard shell because the bullshit is coming his way. And so after all these major changes to this program and the coaching staff and a lot more money spent on coaching, this is what we've got. We're 3-3. We're 0-3 in the ACC. The run for the title game is over. And the run for the playoffs was over for sure. So we're fighting for.
And fans, ask yourself, in 6 years, Florida State hasn't produced a quarterback that played like Mason Heitschel did today. Hasn't recruited a kid that could step up and play like that. That kid played better than Brock Glenn has in games. That kid came into his first road game at noon and dictated the offense for most of the game. That's the reason why Florida State is where it is in performance, because consistently Mike Norvell has not held everybody accountable for bringing in the right quality players in evaluation and development. When Pittsburgh has a third string quarterback like that, who I think is going to be probably pretty good, but you haven't seen that across multiple positions, linebackers, offensive line, defensive line consistently. And these are where we are. So I'm going to leave it at that. There's going to be a lot of things flowing out there. It'll be interesting to see what happens this week. Just strap in, continue to support the team.
Yeah,
obviously.
strap in. That's
support
it.
the team, but you don't feel you're a bad fan. Don't feel like you have to hold the wallet for Mike Norvell. He's a big guy. He's paid a lot of money to do his job, and you hold him accountable for the record he's earned. He's earned that record. So you don't have to feel like a bad fan for calling that out, because those are the numbers. His numbers scream out at you, and so you're not a bad fan for calling that out. You're not a bad fan for having an opinion on that. And the thing I would say is, what would Mike Norvell's record be without Jordan Travis? If he didn't have that as a quarterback,
right?
What happens? Because once again, the recruiting has not been there in this Norvell administration, and that's led to the results. It's just what it is. So
I think that's a really good closing statement, KB. And I think you said it. People have the right to say what they want to say. Say it professionally. Say it in the way you feel. And Mike Norvell gets paid $10 million a season. Yep. He has an obligation to this fan base and to the university to say he is the highest paid person on Florida State's campus. He makes more money per year than the president of the United States makes. He has to answer questions. And the press has a responsibility to ask tough questions, and not these softball questions they roll out to make him happy and not get on his sensitive side. That's bullshit, okay? And there are programs out here that will just continue to hug and kiss Mike because they're trying to sell you premium subscriptions. We are a different type of program. You come on here, say what you say. We'll show the good, we'll show the bad, and we'll comment on it. And that's what we do. And I want to say we appreciate it. We picked up like 30 subscribers over the last couple of weeks. So obviously there's something going on here, and we appreciate you guys out there. And before we go, if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're bringing in different little things, and we want to hear from you guys. And you're open here, and we will air your comments unless it's totally off base or something like that. So we appreciate that, and we enjoy doing this for you. And it's tough. This is tough again. Really tough, because there was such high hopes, and now it's trash because this game was winnable. This game was winnable, and somehow it got away. And it's going to be a tough nut to crunch in the program. Tough nut. But I will tell you right now, write this down. Mike Norvell is not the future of the program. I've said that a few weeks back. He's out. He's going to be out. It's a matter of how the hell do you eat? How do you eat the loss in income, in money? How do you do that? I don't have the answer to that, but I'll tell you what. I don't believe they can carry the guy just because he has this heavy baggage. I don't believe it. I don't think they're going to do that. I really don't. And that's what, like UNC, they're trying to get out of that shit. Sometimes you just have to cut it, take the pain, and move forward.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys, for staying with us. I know after a tough loss. We'll move forward on to next week with Stanford. We'll have a preview show for that. So hit the bell, subscribe so you get those notifications. But have a great rest of your Saturday. Have a great weekend. And we'll continue to support this program, but we'll continue to call out things when we see them. And we'll hope to be prepared for a win next weekend. So thank you all for coming out. Have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. And as always, go Noles.
Go Noles.
Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take.